Yes, that was the Drakendale's Girls Choir with the song Sanbonani, which is the signature tune for Ubuntu Pulse with Dr. G every Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. This program deals with social cohesion, nation building, and the voice of the community, right? That was the opening for this very, very interesting program that we have today. Now, this month's March is Human Rights Month in South Africa. So, we are going to be featuring a whole potpourri of events that showcases the importance of human rights as an important activity that we need to consider in our daily lives. So, today is a special program which is entitled The Role of Community Organizations in Caring for the Youth, Senior Citizens, and Vulnerable Groups. And I would like to, at this point in time, on behalf of Southside FM, acknowledge all the wonderful work that is being done by a whole range of organizations to ensure that these vulnerable groups are taken care of. In the studio today, we have representatives from two organizations in KwaZulu-Natal, which I will introduce later. But we start today's program with a song, We Are Unity, which is necessary for us to work together with these organizations to ensure that the vision and mission and the objectives are realized.
I have a dream of what I wanna be. I wanna be free. That's what my heart keeps telling me. Give me your hand.
We'll find a way.
There's people out there
That feel the same.
if we help each other. I just know we can succeed. We are one, but we are different. We from all around the world. We share the same sun, we share the same oceans. We are every boy and girl. Come together and share our dreams. We'll be amongst the stars, and we know that it's destiny. And we are unity. We are unity.
I do believe. Oh, I believe in destiny. It's up to me.
Right, that was We Are Unity. Now, as I mentioned early on, you are tuned to Ubuntu Pulse with Dr. G, coming to you live from our Southside FM studios here in Westcliff, Chatsworth. Listeners, please note that today's topic is the role of community organizations in caring for the youth, senior citizens, and vulnerable groups. We have representatives from two very popular organizations in Chatsworth. They are Mr. Logan Naidu, the chairperson of the board of the Child Welfare Chatsworth, and Mr. Ray Naguran, representing the Aryan Benevolent Home. Two organizations that is definitely a household name in Chatsworth. Now, during the course of this discussion, they are going to be introducing a whole range of issues, concerning their organizations. And if you would like to participate in today's discussion, our WhatsApp line is 074 345 4447. Once again, 074 345 4447. You may have allegiance to these organizations, and you may have a very, very great opportunity to contribute to today's discussion. So, Mr. Logan Naidu, would like to introduce yourself?
Thank you very much. I'm the chairperson of the Board of Management of Child Welfare Chatsworth.
And
Good evening, listeners. My name is Ray Nagaran. I'm the general manager at ABH.
Okay. Now, both these organizations are doing remarkable work, right? It is a known fact in Chatsworth, right? The popularity of your annual fairs and so on is bears testimony to the fact that you all are a well-known organization. Now, but no organization. I mean, the listeners need to know more. So, what I'm going to ask both of you is, could you provide us, firstly, Mr. Logan Naidu, could you provide us with a background of Child Welfare Chatsworth and the work that you guys are doing?
Okay, thank you very much. So, just to say that Child Welfare Chatsworth, as a NGO, started 46 years ago in Chatsworth. So, we are about as old as Chatsworth is. And by the way, our initial offices are next door your premises.
Oh, okay.
The dilapidated building that you see in the front, I think
Right.
it's occupied by
Informal settlement.
yeah, informal settlers right now, was the building that we were originally in. And quite 2 or 3 decades ago, with the assistance of the Board of Management, we were able to build new offices in 10 Rosites Road, Arena Park, Chatsworth. So we're right next to, sort of diagonally opposite the RK Khan Hospital. We're close to the police, we're close to the courts, and that was vital for us because at the end of the day, we work with these other organizations to solicit their support in matters that involve issues that we deal with. Through the years, we have had many boards of management. We're very proud of the infrastructure that we have right now. It's massive compared to other child welfares in the province and the country as a whole. And we have a very hands-on board of management. So in as much as we have employees to conduct all the professional administrative work, so on and so forth, the board of management, they have the finger on the pulse, and they're up to speed on issues. With regards to some of the work that we do, we focus primarily on children from birth basically, until the age of 12. But very often we actually see these children out until they become adults. So if for some reason or the other we had to be involved with a child, let's say from birth, we don't let go of that child until the child is 18 years or older. And so we've had many success stories. We've had children that have come through our doors, that have graduated into professionals, doctors, attorneys, chartered accountants, so on and so forth. And even ordinary residents, people that have made something of their life. So we are quite confident that the programs and the support that we give is relative to the day and time, and is able to make a positive impact on the individual people within our community, thereby affecting a larger group of people, being families, extended families, so on and so forth. There's a common cliche, children back in the day used to be threatened. If you don't behave yourself, I'll take you to child welfare. It was
Take you to the homes.
yeah, we'll take you there, It's not the right approach because we are always positive in whatever development we look at. But parents used to
So
use
it's not
this.
like a jail or something.
Yes, no, it's
Yeah.
not a jail. So, so we enjoy what we do. The board of management are pure volunteers. We don't get paid any money.
And that is keeping with our forefathers, that all the organizations that were formed, like whether it's the Child Welfare, the Blind Society, Friends of the Sick Association, were all, organizations that had a solid foundation in terms of the spirit of volunteerism. And I'm glad you're mentioning that.
Correct. So, we don't get paid a cent. We have the passion to be involved and to be looking at the needs of our community. And in as much as I'm focusing on the issues of children and youth, but our services extend beyond them to family units as well. So if we have a couple going through divorce, they come through our doors. And we try and mediate. If mediation doesn't work, then we try and suggest ways in which this separation can happen in a happy medium by counseling parties and supporting them through
At the end of the
process.
day, your priority is their children.
Correct. In addition to that, we provide material support. In other words, we have a number of people that go hungry, families that go hungry, children that go hungry. So I know it's very early in the program, but we want to come out with an appeal to say our needs outstrip our resources at this point in time.
We will be discussing that later on.
Okay.
Right.
And just to tell you that in terms of child abuse,
Mhm.
from last year to this year, up to now, March 2024, we've had a steep increase in the number of cases of child abuse. It's sad, and when we have to take perpetrators on and take them to court, strange enough, perpetrators will come with senior counsel and advocates and whatever to defend themselves against these allegations that are being made against them. And so equally, we need to have a competent team to be able to make sure that we are successful. And just last week, there was a case in the Chatsworth Magistrates Court. It's been reported on quite widely in the tabloid and the Chatsworth Tabloid and the Rising Sun, where a pastor was actually charged for sexual assault. And yeah, so 2 weeks back.
Somebody that you would go to for help, for support, for guidance.
Correct. So 2 weeks ago, I was contacted by some media houses for a comment around shouldn't faith-based organizations start doing more. And I said to them, and I'm bold enough to repeat it, don't go to the priest in the temple, the Molana in the mosque, the pastor in the church, because these people are sometimes closer to identifying cases of abuse. But they will call the parents or the uncle that's the perpetrator and say to the child, look, forgive him, he made a mistake. They close this thing and they try and wish it away. From our perspective as at Child Welfare Chatsworth, we want to get each and every one of these fellows behind bars, if it's a male. We also get females that are abusers.
Yes, hence this month, Human Rights Month. The rights of those children are pivotal.
Absolutely. But it's pivotal
I
365
just want
days.
to ask something. Previously, it was known as the Chatsworth Indian Child Welfare. So the name has now been changed. So, for the benefit of the listeners, I think you need to tell them that the transformation and it accommodates everybody.
Yeah. So prior to democracy, because of the apartheid system that was in place, it was known as Chatsworth Indian Child Welfare. The reality is, as we talk right now, 80% of our clients or beneficiaries of services are Black African. So immediately after democracy, in line with the agility of the Board of Management, we decided, look, we now are on safe grounds to change our name, get rid of the Indian. And also being in Chatsworth is a slight disadvantage to us, because when we apply for funding to various sources, for some reason they think, hey, Chatsworth, it's an Indian area.
And they have funds.
They have the funds, but no, we'd rather allocate it to a black area.
But
Not
most of your
realizing-
inmates are blacks.
Most of our beneficiaries are blacks, 80%. So, we try and adjust our proposals to highlight this, but still, it's just a stigma having the name Chatsworth. But because of the history of Chatsworth, we won't change it.
Yes, yes.
Yes, our community is changing. Yes, we've had an influx of black members of the black community, but we still Chatsworth, and they live in Chatsworth as well. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, listeners, you are tuned to Ubuntu Pulse with Dr. G on Southside FM. We have two special guests today discussing the important role that community organizations play in caring for the youth, senior citizens, and vulnerable groups. You're welcome to WhatsApp your messages or voice notes on 074 345 4447. You may have some questions to ask to our guest, or you may have some valuable input that can assist them in administrating their organizations much better for the benefit of the community. Right. We also have in our studio Mr. Ray Naguran, who is from the Aryan Benevolent Home, very commonly known as ABH. You drive near Arena Park before you come to Unit 7, Chatsworth, just before you see the huge statue of Lord Anuman. On the right-hand side, you see this huge campus, the Aryan Benevolent Home. Let's now get into that campus and see what this campus is all about. And we have Mr. Ray Naguran who's going to tell us about it.
Thanks, Dr. G, and good evening to the listeners. Yes, as you said, the ABH is situated there in Chatsworth, but its beginnings go back a long way. In fact, I think we turned about 102 years old, I think, last year. Started with humble beginnings, I think in the Mayville area, in a small little house, and over the years grew. And I think in the 70s, they moved to the present campus in Arena Park. The arena, if you stand on the road and you look, it doesn't look as big as it really is. It's only when you get inside, you realize how big that campus is. And so as I said, it's about 102 years old. In terms of the work that we do, it's you can divide it into three sort of main areas, which we call our three pillars. It's well known as a home for the aged. So that's we've got about 274, I think, elderly people that live there. So that's a big component. And then we have a children's home. The children's home is about, I think, 102 children that live there, from about 2 years right up to 18 years. And they are cared for, they go to school, they live there, and that's their home, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a smaller unit, which we call the VEP, which is the Victim Empowerment Program.
Mm-hmm.
And that is mainly as a shelter for women victims of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So they come there and they stay for a little while, a couple of weeks. They can come with their children, their house there.
Is it like a safe house?
It's a safe house.
Okay.
Yeah. But while they're there, they do receive counseling, whatever support they need.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually stay there for a few weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and then they go. So if you look at what the home does, those are broadly, the three main areas. If you look now at, on the day-to-day activities, what happens there. If we start with the old age home, it's actually there's two parts. There's one for the elderly, but there's also another part for the disabled as well, who may not be at retirement age, but younger, but they suffer from some sort of disabilities, and they are housed there as well. So that's their home. They live there. We give them all their meals, everything is provided, their clothes, their meals. There's a lot of activities. We try to balance, with some sort of social activities as well. Those who are able to move about, we take them on excursions. ABH has always had a very strong cultural, ethos about it. Very, very strong. There is a mandir on the campus, and that mandir is used, quite a lot by members of the community for various festivals, prayers, and things like that. We had a very successful Shivaratri program on Friday last week, a whole day program. So that's integral to the functions that we do. But for the residents themselves, very strong cultural.
And I think the residents look forward to the Deepavali festivals and all these religious.
Oh yes, in fact, every occasion there's something happening. The last one was Valentine's Day. It was quite
Can you
quite
imagine?
hilarious. Yeah, I walked into we have a big hall there, and all of them dressed in red, and we had music, there was dancing, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and a few times that I came there, and I saw what lovely social activities. The men were playing tani,
Tani,
the
yes, yes.
ladies were doing their own thing. It was so lovely.
Yeah, we try as far as possible, to keep them occupied. I mean, I knew tomorrow there's some yoga classes happening there, and we take them to the beach, we take them to parks, and then also mental stimulation. We have a library; they read, and there's a lot of volunteers that also come, and they some of them will just come there and just have a chat with some of the residents. They're looking for some sort of company. Another very, very important part is the sort of the medical. We're not a hospital, but we do have a very strong nursing staff.
In fact, today we had somebody that came to our studios with a program that we're doing here today, and she said that she graduated from ABH as a nurse aide. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's another part, actually. There is a nursing school, and we have a learning center. And the learning center is that we offer courses on community health, on nursing, and things like that. That's also quite a successful program, and also an income generator.
Of
as
course,
well,
of course.
We run it as a separate entity
Okay.
within ABH. And as I said, then in terms of physical, there's some sporting for those who are, well enough. We've got a swimming pool, there's a gym. And so those are some of the things that we try to do to keep them occupied.
And most recently, you built a state-of-the-art youth facility. Am I correct?
Yes. Now that's the Bayarambaros Children's Home. I mean, anybody who knows ABH,
Sushipal Rambaras.
that's the name, right?
The name,
and he's a success story because he's a product of the children's home. He grew up there, and so he's a product of that. Yes, but 2 weeks ago, we had the official opening of the new children's home. It's a state of the art. It's
Yes.
a really, really beautiful building.
I saw it in a formative stages.
Okay,
Very
yeah.
good
Well, you
building.
should come there, and
Yeah.
have a look at it. It's actually really, really, world class, and the facilities there. So we officially opened that, I think, about two weeks ago. And with the children, there's a lot of emphasis on their education. So after school activities, we have a computer room there, and an area for them to do their homework. We try to source tutors.
So most of the children go to local schools.
Yes, and we have bus transport. We provide the transport, and so we take them in the morning. So they go to school like the normal schools that in the area, and so when they come back, their homework is supervised, and there's a strong emphasis on trying to get them, to study and to do well at school. So those are some of the in a nutshell what ABH sort of does.
So the staff, you have a group of people that are full-time staff, and then you have volunteers as well.
Yes.
How does the staff structure work?
Well, if you look at the structure from the top, we have a board which we call the council. Okay, the council, as Logan said in the child welfare, is the pure voluntary. All of them are volunteers. They're very active. They're not silent board members. They're very active in the running, and they're very supportive. So the board, basically, that's the controlling body. Then we have a management committee, which I'm involved with for the day-to-day operations of. And then we've got various section heads, of course. You've got the head of the kitchen. They have the children's home is a principal, and the victim empowerment program. We have a head there, and then we have for the aged care we have a head. So we have those different levels. Then we have a lot of volunteers that come, and whatever services they can provide. They do. Some people are assisting.
Are most of these volunteers trying to complete an internship program through maybe a vocational path that they're doing, like in university studying social work and so on, are these type of volunteers that are coming there for, experience.
Yes, you do get that, but also if you look at our own nursing school, we have students there. So part of their study,
Okay.
they work in
Okay.
yeah, and then but we also
That makes a sense.
yeah, and then
Lots of
today I
sense.
saw another group from another nursing institution, so they are coming and doing their internship there as well. You know, then you also get some people who do sort of research. Okay, one of the projects that we're embarking on now is a sort of a museum. Okay, we've collected a whole lot of artifacts over the years, you know, and so we're looking at developing a museum to house these. There's a lot of documents, there's books, there's a lot of things. Okay, so that's that. So we're trying to get to partner with the universities, research students, you know, to help in that in that project. Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And is there any school children that come there to do like, training or, to get
Yeah,
the experience part of a project or
We
something?
we do, but you know sometimes
difficult.
it's difficult with school kids.
School kids,
yes,
yeah.
you know there's supervision. Yeah, so we try to encourage mostly university students rather than school kids.
Our regular listener Joyce says, Vanakkam, Dr. G. Thank you, Logan, for reaching in all your success. Well done to the child welfare for assisting our abused youth. I know it's not an easy task, but you'll take it head on. Congratulations, hats off, sorry. And then beautiful, informative topic, she says. Yes, I must say, I've been to ABH many years back. It is difficult to handle these patients, but they are doing it well. I love, well done to management and staff. Thank God we have organizations like this to support the needy. So, you know what, this is some of the views of some of our listeners. But yes, amazing work from both the child welfare and from ABH. Amazing work, from the information that we receive from the community. You know, they're always in awe with the beautiful work being done. But as we, the work that is being done have many challenges, like Joyce has mentioned, right? After we have the song break, we're going to look at some of these challenges. So now we have a song break, and the song this time is called Semmoji by A.R. Rahman and various artists. Very appropriate because it deals with human dignity. And it was composed during the time of the floods in Chennai, where all the singers got together in unity to show how important it is for humanity to come together. And it's appropriate that we all need to come together for ABH and for the child welfare. Semmoji.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Southside FM 107.2.
பிறப்புக்கும் எல்லா உயிர்க்கும் பிறந்த பின்னர் யாவதும் ஊரே யாவரும் கேலி
உண்பது நாளே உடுப்பது இரண்டே உறைவிடம் என்பது ஒன்றே
உழைத்து வாழ்ந்தோம் உழைத்து வாழ்வோம் தீதும் நன்றும் பிறர் தரவாராயனும் நன்மொழியே நம் பொன்மொழியா போரை புறம் தள்ளி பொருளை பொதுவா ஓரறிவு முதல் ஆறறிவு உயிரினம் வரையிலே உணர்ந்திடும் உடலமைப்பை பகுத்து கூறும்
ஓரறிவு முதல் ஆறறிவு உயிரினம் வரையிலே உணர்ந்திடும் உடலமைப்பை பகுத்துக் கூறும்.
தொல்காப்புகள் தொல்காப்பியமும் ஒப்பற்ற குரல் கூறும் உயர் பண்பாடு ஒலிக்கின்ற சிலம்பும் மேகலையும் சிந்தாமணியுடனே வளையாமதி புல்டலகேசியோ செம்மொழியான தமிழ் மொழியா
தமிழ் மொழியா.
கம்பநாட்டாழ்வாரும்
கவியரசியவை நல்லாலும்
எம்மதமும் ஏற்று புகழ்கின்ற
என் மதமும் ஏற்று புகழ்கின்ற
எத்தனையோ ஆயிரம் கவிதை நெய்வோர் தரும்
தடை அனைத்து குவித்தாக விளங்கும் மொழி
செம்மொழியான தமிழ் மொழியா செம்மொழியான தமிழ் மொழியா செம்மொழியா அகமென்றும் புறமென்றும் வாழ்வை அழகாக வகுத்தளித்து ஆதி அந்தமிலாது இருக்கின்ற இனிய மொழி ஓதி வளரும் உயிரான உலக மொழி ஓதி வளரும் உயிரான உலக மொழி நம் மொழி அதுவே
செம்மொழியான தமிழ் மொழியா. தமிழ் மொழி தமிழ் மொழி தமிழ் மொழியா.
செம்மொழியான தமிழ் மொழியா செம்மொழியான தமிழ் மொழியா செம்மொழியான தமிழ் மொழியா
தமிழ் மொழியா தமிழ் மொழியா தமிழ் மொழியா.
தமிழ் மொழியா
தமிழ் மொழியா தமிழ் மொழியா தமிழ் மொழியா.
Ubuntu Radio with Dr. G, your gateway to social cohesion and nation building. Tune in exclusively on Southside FM 107.2 every Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. Yes, Ubuntu Pulse with Dr. G, a program that's the voice for the people. And today we have the voice for both ABH and Chetsu Child Welfare here today in the form of Mr. Logan Naidu and Mr. Ray Naguran. So, listeners, if you have any questions or you would like to make any contributions to today's very informative program, you're welcome to send your messages on 074 345 4447. Yes. So we have this two very important and interesting gentlemen here that gave us a background about the two organizations that's a household name in Chatsworth. But now, no organization can survive without certain challenges. So I'm going to be asking, first of all, to Mr. Naidu, what are some of the challenges Chatsworth Child Welfare faces while addressing serious societal issues?
Thank you. I think that's a very interesting question. I just want to say that when such a question is posed, most people usually jump out and say, we need more money. From child welfare's perspective, I would rather say that we are seeking partnerships. We don't necessarily need money. I'm not saying we don't need money. We do need money. But we seek partnerships because in the long term, partnerships are much more successful where you are able to sustain yourself knowing that you have support, even if it's just moral support, you know. In terms of resources, financial and otherwise, as I said, we've had a sharp increase in child abuse cases from 2023 to date in March 2024. And it's usually the case when we have to do removals of children through the criminal justice system. We sometimes go out not knowing what the age of the child is. Only when we go out and we find that there is a baby that's on milk formula that need nappies, so on and so forth, do we become aware that what our needs are going to be for that day or that week. So I would appeal to particularly business houses in Chatsworth. We don't need money, but if you can support us by giving us a bundle of nappies, as it's as little as that, it'll go a long way. If you can support us, if chemists and the big brand stores can say, when you're short of a can of milk formula, we'll give it to you. Just to give you an example, well after 5:30 this evening, our social worker was driving in with 2 children. Now, the Department of Social Development is closed. They work from 8 to 4. They sit in the offices. They never go out. On the 15th, their salaries are diligently deposited in the bank accounts. They get a housing subsidy. They get medical aid, so on and so forth. In the NGO sector, and I'm sure it's the same with ABH, we don't have the luxury to provide these kind of benefits to employees. And you'll find that the Department of Social Development almost always has a very lazy approach to things. So, I'm coming out and I'm being candid about this because for far too long we've been hiding issues around non-compliance by the state, so on and so forth. And now, in the last 4 or 5 years, we're beginning to see the level of corruption, fraud, so on and so forth. All this was being deliberately covered up. Our challenge immediately is that we have been made aware through the state institutions that there's going to be a cut of funding to NGOs. Now, at a time when we are experiencing a high amount of child abuse cases, a cut of funding is going to mean a cut in staff. So who's going to be the safety net for the children and the youth in this country?
Of course.
We are, and even through the COVID, we never closed our doors. In fact, we got more busier than everybody else. And I must put on record our sincere thanks to the Sai movement. They actually donated a whole lot of masks and sanitizer, so on and so forth to us, so that we could safeguard ourselves and continue providing the service. And also thank God it was during that period that none of us got ill or died. We know that people were dying in the droves all around us. So resources is a major issue, but we're not coming to the community or business houses and saying, give us 100,000, give us 500,000. We'd rather have their support. And yes, if they are in a position through their social responsibility programs to make a donation to us, Let it be done fairly as part of their social responsibility. But more than that, partnerships are very important.
Mm.
And I must also, at this point in time, acknowledge the ABH as well.
Mm.
Because sometimes, like today, if we picked up these two children, we may have nowhere to take them to.
Mm.
And then, through working relationships with the ABH, we're able to access your children's home, even if it's over a short period, temporary, until we can go into the depth of what is going on. Because there's always a reason why we do a removal.
Mm.
And so I must also acknowledge. So we cooperate with sister organizations.
And
we
that-
have a
And
relationship with
that
them.
collaboration and cooperation and support is pivotal.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Pathadeen, when he was still around, I know he's very ill now. At whatever time, if I called him, he would take the call and I'll say, "Look, I'm sending somebody through."
Mm.
Say, "No problem, Logan." And he used to also stay on site,
Because you all don't have a
So
in-house facility.
we are not an institution.
Yeah.
So we have foster parents in the community, throughout this community. We screen them on a regular basis and keep them and make them available. In the event of us having a case where we need to do a removal, then we go through the list of people that we have screened that have the financial capacity, the emotional capacity, so on and so forth, to look after a child with love.
And do you have cases where, for example, you send them to foster parents and they do it for the sake of finances and money that they receive as foster parents, and those children are placed and they become even more vulnerable?
Yes.
Were there any cases?
So
where-
there has been. Our screening process throws those kind of parents out.
Hmm.
So we can very easily identify which parent is willing to take on 1 or 2 or 3 children. But the main objective is to
Money.
get the childcare grant.
Yes, correct.
No, we're not looking for foster parents like that.
Mm.
In the case of ABH, when they are placed, ABH gets a subsidy for each child.
Mm.
And they in turn use that money to support and look after the child. So in our case, we have many foster parents that say, "Look, I'm willing to give love to a child. I'm not interested in a grant." That foster parent goes right up on the list,
Mm.
And, down the line, 2-3 years, some of these foster parents don't want to release their child. They want a full-on adoption.
That's so
Irrespective of race. We have a number of Indian foster parents that have taken on African children. And they're completely happy with them. And they want them as full-time adopted children. So when you talk about social cohesion and stuff like that, in a number of ways, without mentioning the words, we are busy with that kind of thing,
That's so remarkable.
Yeah. But, everything, we have to go to court, we need an attorney. If we have to go and look for a child in Welbidat, we need petrol.
And do you get attorneys, for example, doing pro bono work for you guys?
We do get. I must also place on record my appreciation to many of them. When we call upon them, they do. But sometimes we have to move past attorneys and look for more senior counsel,
Oh, okay.
so on and so forth. Becomes a bit challenging, but on occasion we have had their support as well.
Okay.
So if not pro bono completely, but for a much reduced fee, so on and so forth. The other thing is there are a number of organizations that are springing up in all areas in KZN. And these organizations have been open for a year or two. And they come making very, very sensational statements with no backing or foundation, like Child Welfare, the ABH. I mean, you see people collecting monies all over the shore. We want to feed the needy and do this and do that.
Right.
But they haven't produced a single set of financial statements. Now, with the bigger organizations, we go through an annual external audit. We have to commission a professional auditing firm to do that. Same goes, I think, for ABH.
I think at this stage now, let us listen to Mr. Ray Naguran, who is representing the ABH here today. What are your challenges?
No, thanks. Thanks, Logan, as
They
well.
may be similar, but
Yeah,
any
they actually
unique.
they're very similar. But ABH as it is an institution where we house I think about total of 500 I think residents there, and about 300 staff. So it's a very big organization, and like all NGOs, I think we are faced with the same challenges of finances. Um, we recently, had to let go of a number of staff because basically we couldn't afford to keep that amount of staff. So, and to feed, only 3 meals a day, and teas and all the other things that go with it, it costs a lot of money. So we are in a position now, I think, where we're finding it very difficult, to manage financially. And as Logan said, the Department of Social Development, I think, has already issued a memo stating that subsidies are going to be cut. So that source of funding there is going to diminish. So besides, the financial contributions that we get and that we need, we do get a lot of donations in kind. And if you ever spend any amount of time in the reception area of ABH, you'll see a lot of people coming there, with lots of items that they want to donate. A lot of food items, but also clothing and things, because we have a charity shop there, which is part of our fundraising. So some of the stuff that we get.
And I think talking about it, food items, right? I think the listeners must also realize that it's better and more relevant to give uncooked food items, because there is a tendency for people to have a function and this food is left over. Now you've already prepared food for the day, right? There's no need now to bring and dump the food there. So there is a tendency for some people to come and leave cooked food there when it's too late. What is the take on that?
Yeah. Okay. We get a lot of. Talking about just food items, we get rice, oil, maize meal, and all this. There's a lot of that.
That's accepted.
That's accepted, right? And we appreciate that. As far as food is concerned, cooked food, what we'd like to do is we like to control that there. So we won't accept somebody just coming there and say, listen, here, we got a pot of biryani that we want to.
So if I'm celebrating my grandchild's birthday in advance, contact you and say that I would like to prepare the meal for the day for ABH.
Yes.
Is that accepted?
Yeah, so what happens, we have a PR department, and they basically manage this. So if you want to do that, you would phone them and then book a day, and then they will make the arrangements, okay? Then the kitchen knows that they don't have to cook for that day, right?
So you give them the quantity and the type of meals and everything.
Yes, and there's two types. One is sometimes the donor will prefer to bring the food cooked already, and then the other one where they give us the money, and then our kitchen will.
Okay,
will
I
cook.
think that's much more makes
I think
more
it's
sense
easier, yeah.
because you know the needs, you know what the type of food that inmates have, rather than bringing something that's strange and.
You're right. You're right. So, and having said that, I mean, you'll find that on a weekend, you'll find quite often a Saturday or Sunday, there's some donor there, celebrating something or in honor of somebody, and especially the children's home as well. A lot of people want to celebrate, say, a birthday party.
But I think one challenge that often is discussed in social gatherings and functions and everything, and maybe you can throw some light on this, whether it's true. They always talk about parents being dumped at homes like ABH and everything, and after that they don't worry about their parents anymore, or their mother or father or something. Is this a social problem? That is one of the challenges. Are people neglected? Their families leave them there and don't care for them. Are there instances of that?
Yeah, I think more than we think. Right. I mean, there are people that on a weekend you will see their children, relatives coming and visiting, but a vast majority of
No.
people, they won't. Right. And I was chatting to a gentleman yesterday. He last saw his daughters 10 years ago.
Oh my God.
Right. They're living in Cape Town. Okay. And it's not a unique story. I mean, I've heard so many stories like that. Sometimes, if they need to contact a family member, you won't believe this. If they see ABH number on the phone, they won't answer.
Sure.
You know, we had an incident where I think about 2-3 weeks ago, I got a call in the middle of the night to say that from the hospital to say, there's one of our patients there needs a sort of an operation, and they're trying to get hold of somebody
To give permission.
to permission from
Right.
them. I mean, repeated calls and no answer. You know, so you get that. Unfortunately, it is a fact. I mean, it's
So in a case like that, does ABH become the de facto parent?
yes, they become the de facto. Yeah, I mean, like we are, especially with the children, we are their guardians. We are the
Yes.
legal guardians.
Yes.
And
So you can give that permission.
permission, yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
You can't do anything else but do that.
Yeah, so to answer your question, it is a sad reality that a lot of people, once they leave the parent at ABH, they felt that, you know what, my duty is done now. They're being cared for. And, those people sit on a Sunday and they wait. They wait for somebody to come and visit them.
One day I must share a story. I was a guest speaker at an event for senior citizens. And I was sitting in front, and there was some, senior citizens in the back. I had a prepared speech, but I overheard something before my speech. And, the one lady was telling the other, after enjoying the entertainment, and they said, do you think our children will take us for things like this? Do you think I changed my whole speech because, you could see the neglect. You can see the dissatisfaction about how they are being taken care of by the children. And I think with all the senior citizens clubs going around, there's so much, and the excursions that these people go to, the weekly meet, the lunch and arrangements, and the Deepavali celebrations, Christmas celebrations, I think they're feeling more better. So you're right. It is a serious societal issue, something that we need to have a dedicated program to discuss that and bring some of the people here and have a conversation.
I'm relatively new to ABH. I think 6 months, right? So I also added my own perceptions. But I tell you, after working there, and I look at those old people there, and the way they're being cared for, and the love they receive, and the social aspect of it. I think some of them actually, have a better time there than they would if they were living, with their families.
That's what we heard. That's
right. And I've heard that, right, many times. And it's so gratifying when I take a walk around and I see they've got little groups. They're playing their thani. They're having conversations. That whole social aspect.
Yeah. 1 hour is not enough to discuss this, and we're coming close to ending off here. And there's so much more that I needed to discuss with you, but we could not. But we'll definitely get you back here. And one of the things both of you can be rest assured about, you're looking for support and partnership. Southside FM is there for you guys. Anytime you need us, outside broadcasting, at your fairs, or any support you need in your fundraising initiatives and so on, you can take it that we are there to support you all the way. Right?
Thank you.
Now, before we end off, right, last comments from both of you regarding this program and the topic, a community organization, the role of community organizations in caring for the aged and the youth, right? From you, Logan.
Yeah, so, I agree with you. This is such a vast topic. To get to the detail where it's really informative to the community at large, you've got to have more time. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is that we have a partnership with Southside FM.
Mhm.
You are going to be at our charity fair,
Mm.
which is taking place from the 26th of April to the 29th, and then from the 3rd to the 5th of May.
Mm.
And through your own listenership, we want to extend an invitation to the community at large. You guys will be broadcasting live from there. You all got some stuff that you all are doing on the stage. I don't want to reveal all the details now, but all that has been finalized. So I think, we really appreciate the partnership with you guys. And yeah,
This is a
hopefully
community station, and your organization is very much part of us.
yes. So I was here previously as well, speaking to your station manager and other people. And by the way, one of my nieces is a radio
Jock.
here,
Who is it?
Tashriya.
Oh, Tashriya Naidu. Yeah, she does the morning show.
Yeah.
And a very, very competent RJ.
Right. So so we appreciate being invited. We did not get to the crux of what needs to be discussed. And at any time, you're welcome to invite us to get to the detail.
Any parting shot from you, Mr.
No,
Nagaran?
thanks, Dr. G. I'm not sure. I think this may be the first time I think ABH
Came on radio. Yes,
here.
yes.
Right. So thank you for that. Thank you very much. And I hope that is just the beginning of a long partnership. you know.
Definitely. You can be rest assured we are there to support you.
Yeah, so I want to thank you and thank the station for the invitation and for allowing us to showcase ABH. As we said, the time didn't allow us to touch everything, but I'm sure we'll have an opportunity sometime in the future. And when we're doing our outside on our shows, our fairs and things like that, rest assured, you guys will be invited, to be part of it.
Okay.
Thanks so much for the invitation.
We'll end off with a song, but before that, remember you have been tuned to Ubuntu Pulse with Dr. G, coming to you live from our Southside FM studios here in Westcliff, Chatswood, and you are always welcome to submit any recommendations that you'd like to hear on this particular show that cares for the people, the community voice, the social cohesion, nation building. So you're welcome. So we'll end off today until next week with a song entitled Akasam Nihadu, catering for Mr. Logan Naidu, a Telugu song. Thank you so much and all the best to the listeners. Ubuntu Radio with Dr. G, your gateway to social cohesion and nation building. Tune in exclusively on Southside FM 107.2 every Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m.
నడిగుండెల్లో నిప్పుంది మండించుదాన్ని ఆ వంటల్లో వెలిగించు నీరేపటిని సుడిగుండాలు ఎదురైనా లెక్కించకుదేని ఎదురీదాలి చేరాలి లక్ష్యాలని ఒడ్డున ఉండి రాళ్ళేస్తారు నీ పస తెలియని చెత్త జనాలు రత్నంలా నువ్వు తేలిన నాడు మూసుకుపోవా వాకిన నోళ్ళు ఒడ్డున ఉండి రాళ్ళేస్తారు నీ పస తెలియని చెత్త జనాలు రత్నంలా నువ్వు తేలిన నాడు మూసుకుపోవా వాకిన నోళ్ళు ముక్క చెక్కలుగా విరిచేయి నీకెదురు పడిన చిక్కులని